What's up guys, it's Mikey with Padbangers.com today with a new gear check, and today we're gonna check out the Trigger Finger Pro by M Audio. Alright, so let's start with a look on the controller. When you unbox it, the first thing you notice is that it's actually really good quality. It comes with a plastic housing, but it's really sturdy and it seems really solid. Also, I really like the aluminum front plate. It looks very nice, but I have to say it's a little bit of a fingerprint magnet, but yeah, I can live with that. Really nice. You got a large display on top of it. Not a graphical display, but a very good display. You can even read it in bright sunlight. Very good contrast. I like that a lot. Now below the display on the left side you have the mixing or controls section with 4 knobs. Those are endless encoders, 4 faders, and 4 switchable buttons. You got 4 banks for these, so in total you got 16 knobs, 16 faders, and 16 buttons. The knobs actually are really nice in quality. They feel great. They're not too loose, not too stiff, really good. The faders are okay. I would probably replace the fader caps here. I don't think they feel too good and they're a little flimsy. I don't know. I would just replace them. You will probably find some nice fader caps for these for cheap. Really nice clickable buttons here. Really like those. Really good quality. To the right side you got your drum pads. Those are actually, I think those are the MPC drum pads. I'm not 100% sure, but they play really nice. The only downside here is it looks more terrible than it is. It's actually no big deal when you play it, but I gotta mention it. So you can wobble the whole sheet of pads. You can wobble it around, but as I said, when you play it, you don't recognize it at all, and the pads feel great. Very nice, velocity sensitive. Really good pads. So below the control section there's also a little DAW control included. You can map these to any of your DAWs. It comes with templates for Ableton Live, Studio One, Cubase, Digital Performer, and so on and so forth. And it actually works really nice. You set it up and you got DAW control. You can control your tracks, you can trigger clips in Live, you can browse through your scenes and stuff. So this works really good. Also the transport section right here works right out of the box. You set it up in Live. There are a ton of good tutorial videos on the M Audio YouTube channel explaining you exactly what you need to do to make it work. and you do that and it works no problems at all. Also, you got tap tempo button. You can either sync the tempo to your DAW or you use the internal clock and then you can tap the tempo in right here. So yeah, pretty nice. And below that is the step sequencer. You can control 16 steps at a time, 4 bars in total, so 64 steps are possible. The LEDs on top are really helpful when you perform in the dark. You get this, it's called night mode, where you see every fourth step is dimmed, so you know exactly where your 4 bars are. So that's really nice. So from the step sequencer and the pads, you're going to record your own sequences. And that sequences can be easily recorded from the controller here. Go to your next sequence section, and then each pad represents one sequence. So when you go to pad 1, it plays sequence 1, pad 10 plays sequence 10, and so on and so forth. You can also decide when these sequences start to play when you hit on the pad, so you can decide if it's either by the end of the bar, by the end of the sequence, or it can be now, which plays the sequence immediately. You also can decide if the sequence is going to be looped or just played as a one shot, so it only plays one time and stops then. Also, you're able to mute and solo different instruments from the controller here. So let's play back, for example, sequence 1. Go to your solo mode, you can play only the kick, add the snare. And then on top of it, you got a button unsolo all, and it goes back to its previous state. Same for the mute buttons. You can mute different pads. Mute all. You're also able to switch to sound without playing it back by holding down the select button. With the select button, you have more options, so you can decide which bar you're viewing on the step sequencer. You can paste and copy different sequences, duplicate them, and also you can change the time division for the step sequencer down here, how fast it plays. That's all manageable on the select button. Also, there's a roll function included, so when you turn on roll, it gives that typical snare roll effect. Also, there's a button for fixed velocity, so it always plays at the maximum velocity. You also can browse through the 4 different banks here for the pads. This is related to the Arsenal software, as well as the settings you choose for Midi, Mackie, UE, and so on and so forth. And this is really where the strength of the Triggerfinger Pro comes into play. And this is what it makes it so flexible and makes it integrate so well in your setup, because you can mix different MIDI modes and protocols in one template, and that's really great. So for example, I'm going to show you what you can do with the control section right here. So let's go to control and let's go to my mapping. So now you see my knobs in bank A, they're routed to Arsenal, bank B is routed to Mackie, bank C Arsenal, bank D Mackie. And what this means is, as long as I'm here in bank A, I'm controlling the Arsenal software. But let's say I want to control live with it. In the Mackie protocol, so I toggle all to Mackie, and I exit here, and now I'm controlling the pan on my track. But I also could go in and change this to Huey, back to Arsenal, to control the Arsenal software, or in MIDI mode. And now all my controls here could control a VST plugin, for example. I could do that for each bank differently. So let's say bank A controls my VST, bank B controls Ableton, bank C controls Arsenal, and bank D controls another VST, for example. And then you can switch through the different modes right here, and you get different controls for your 4 knobs, which is really great. And this works for all the controls right here. So I could go to my faders and could say now my faders are controlling Arsenal, Mackie, Arsenal, Mackie. I toggle them all to Mackie again, and now I'm controlling the volume in live for each channel. And the same goes for the buttons. I can go to my buttons right here, and I could say bring all these to MIDI mode, and you can map it to whatever you want. Or I could go to Mackie, and then it would mute and unmute tracks right here. Or same with UE, or with Arsenal, and you could control the Arsenal software from the buttons. And again, you can do this for all 4 banks differently. So very, very flexible right here. In Arsenal mode, you're also able to load some of the presets here, but I preferred in MIDI mode and make it integrate in my DAW. Right, so let's have a look at the software that comes with it. I loaded it as a VST plugin here in Ableton Live. So here, this is the Arsenal interface. This is where all your routings can be done for the trigger finger. So you got your 4 banks right here for your faders, knobs, and buttons. And as long as you're in Arsenal mode, everything you set up right here can be controlled from the trigger finger. Of course, when you change bank B to MIDI mode, these settings right here are not more accessible. The same here for your pad banks. You can load different stuff to that. Actually, this is not the plugin you're playing, this is just the container, so your plugin at the moment would be Air Drums. You can load this up in the Arsenal software, so this actually is your plugin. So again, you got your 4 different banks right here, you can load sounds to it, you can map these buttons with another MIDI CC control. You could also use the MIDI mode on the trigger finger to control some of the knobs right here that are accessible via MIDI, but it's not predefined, so it's really your work to map these out in the Air Drums or in the hybrid window. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the software. It gives you quite a bit of flexibility, but it's not accessible from the controller, so you gotta invest a lot of time. Some stuff like here, the markers and stuff are not accessible from the controller at all, so you have to use your mouse to do it. It's really not what Machine or the MPC is doing. It's it's a plugin within a plugin. So from the software side, you can see it as a bonus. It has some cool sounds and cool features, but the highlight in this bundle is definitely the controller itself and the flexibility of the controller. You can load up different stuff right here. For example, these Air Drums. So those sound not bad at all. You can browse through here. If you know the page name, you can also search for the exact sound name, or you can go through here the timbre, style, and articulation stuff, a little bit like you know it from the Native Instruments browsers. For example, here we got 16 bright strings, and this is now from the hybrid controller. So the pads work as a chromatic scale there, or if you put it in one of the different scale modes, you can play the melodies with the pads as well. So yeah, just a quick view on the software. As I mentioned, I'm not a big fan of the software. It's too complicated. Maybe there will be an update that changes a little bit, but as long as it's the way it is, the controller is the highlight of the pack, definitely not the software. But it has some cool sounds and you can definitely work with it. Okay, so my verdict for the M Audio Trigger Finger Pro, since they dropped the price from $500 down to $200, hands down, there's no better controller for drums that you can buy at this time. You get a controller with great quality, aluminum front plates, the little metal stand, very nice, excellent pads. They play really nice, although they're a little wobbling in the housing, but it's not a big deal. You get a 16-step step sequencer with nice clicky buttons. You get a DAW control and transport section. You get a nice display with a very high contrast that you can read very nice. Plus you get knobs and faders and buttons that are so flexible in the mapping. You can use Mackie protocol, UE, Midi, and control the Arsenal software. Plus you get the Arsenal plugin with the Air Drums and the hybrid synthesizer and some more sounds on top. Again, the software isn't the best. I'm not a big fan of it, but the sounds are quite nice, and if you don't have any other stuff to work with or to map it, it's a great start. So For the price of $200, I highly recommend it if you're not a machine or NPC user, or even if you are and need another controller that is very flexible for a low price. I really can recommend it. So yeah, for $200, great thing. Good job, M Audio. Improve your software and you can play with the big dogs. As always, let me know your thoughts on it. What do you think about the Triggerfinger Pro? Send me some comments. Please subscribe to the channel. Come over to facebook.com/padbangers. Like the site. If you're down on how I jam on all these stuff, check out Instagram @Padbangers and follow me there. I hope to see you guys next time. That's it, Mike, padbangers.com. Peace out.